Hello and good morning to you. Good to see you here, Paul Trani, diving in or blasting off into what I call Photoshop Masterclass. So this is everything you need to know to become a master. Maybe you are already. I'm sure there are a couple in chat that are watching today. I just want to give you a warm welcome, Valder, Philippa, Austin, Anksana. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. Anothai as well from Thailand. Awesome. Fantastic. So my name is Paul Trani. We're going to dive into Masterclass. So we're going to bypass, fun little like how to make a smart object and how to work with layers. And we're going to get into some nitty gritty of Photoshop creating 3D content, just so you know. When you think of 3D content, don't think of, just sometimes 3D stuff can be lame and not cool. But what you want to do is you want to add dimension to your work, right? You want it to be attention grabbing. So that's the goal, is to make attention grabbing graphics that you can make easily. And I'm going to use Photoshop to do that, but I'm also going to use Dimension like it says here. So we'll talk about creating and importing 3D lighting, materials, cameras, Adobe Dimension, and those same things in Dimension. But most important thing is we're going to make awesome stuff. So Clara, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. And everyone, even if you're joining me on YouTube, hop over to good old Zoop. Behance.net/live. So here I am. Thank you. So 3D, I don't like 3D for 3D's sake. I like it because, it gets the message across, and it could be attention grabbing. You could do search for 3D graphic design just to show you some examples because you want to get inspired. I think also I use Pinterest a lot. So here you can see, like, this is the idea, what I'm going for. This sort of look like this, right? So that's what we're looking for. This is going to be more attention grabbing than 3D graphic design, than just like potentially a flat image. Now, a flat image has its place, by the way, for sure. But look at this. Look at the lighting in here, by the way. Like this sort of thing. This would be a good design in Illustrator, but it became a great design by adding that lighting. Okay, so that's the goal, is to go from good to great. Like, look at this. Look at this piece. Come on now. This is Masterclass right here, right? We can do this, right? I can show you how, and it's going to be simple. So I'm super excited about this. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to switch over to Photoshop, again, where you can have some text. We could even take that text, something like, let's go look deeper, something like that, right? So we grab our text. I'm just working with this text like I normally would as a graphic designer, right? Taking this text, you know what? Let's just go ahead and crank that up a little bit more. Maybe I would cut that, put it on a new layer. I don't know. Well, maybe not. Let's bring it back. There we are. Moving this up. Give me a second. Look deeper. Something like this. This is what we'll kind of start with. I want to keep this. It's just going to be one text element, and we're going to keep this super simple, right? That's the goal, at least starting out that way, right? And tell me if you've used 3D before. Happy to hear your experience. I'm going to go into my properties for my character right here. There we go. I just have to adjust this down. Let's close that gap like that. Again, starting out with something, it could be somebody's name too. But we'll start with this. Look deeper. At this point, I'm just going to sample this color right up here because that looks a little bit better. Okay. All right, fantastic. And I'm here to help you, right? So let me know if you have any questions at all, right? But we are looking deeper at Photoshop and 3D since this is a masterclass. I created this in Photoshop. From here, what do? I open up the 3D panel, and then I can get into sort of these different options right in here, okay? So thank you so much. You like that paper style. I love that paper style too. I like the idea of taking something that's, just giving something a little bit of depth, right? So that's the goal. So right in here, let's just go ahead and 3D postcard is going to make it flat. 3D extrusion is going to extrude the text. And then we have primitives as they're known, or basic shapes. So from here, I'm just going to select 3D extrusion, click create. It's going to do the obvious, right? It gives us this. Hey, welcome to something like really cheesy. This is like not that great, right? But look what happens to my 3D panel. Oh boy, my goodness. This is what we have. We have current view, light. We have our text element, by the way. And we can go through these. I'm going to hit Command H, okay, just because it was hiding some of my controls. But in here, this is what I can do. I can click around. I usually don't like to rotate the text. I typically rotate the current view, right? So I can take this and we can get something a little more interesting. In fact, let's take this text. Let's take this text and let's rotate it upward. Let's stand it up like that. I get my properties over here. I still don't think I'm in Masterclass level just yet. All I did is make something 3D, right? I think that's, I mean, it's pretty straightforward since this has been in Photoshop a while. So this is the idea. I kind of like this. So many things we can do. So many things, right? We are actually viewing it from the top view. And of course, I can control that view right up here. Zoop. Oh, you want to make it top? Just select top. Boop. And now it's perfectly on the top. And you know what? I can adjust that lighting, right? So we can play with this like all day long. This already gives us a cool look that we could potentially work with, right? Right? The fact that we can control this, right? Already, I think it's working out pretty well. Let's go beyond this because I want to take this. Maybe I want to just rotate it slightly. Command H to bring those back. I have the move tool selected, and be aware of these controls right up here in your options bar. We can rotate and we can tilt and then we can pan and then we can zoom. All right. So just be aware of those. Oh, sorry. First one's orbit as it's known, but I can kind of orbit around this specific object if I want to. Right. And like I said, manipulating this or getting whatever view that I want. Just be aware of these options, just like with any other tool, as you could imagine. All right. So far so good. Let's take this. I actually like the color, but check this out. You ready for this, Philippa? Yeah. Let's take a look at this. Selecting this text right here, okay? Look off to the side. I want to change the color. I can do that right in my properties panel. I can pick sort of a pink like that. And obviously I have that selected. It's going to give me sort of like what I want. Really straightforward, right? Christy, good to see you here. And Daniel as well. Let's take a look at this. This looks pretty good. I'm actually going to save this as one example. I am going to move it up, right? Because we have one potential design already set up. Let's actually, you know what? It was perfectly fine in the center, just like that. Let's give it a place to go, right? Maybe we want to visually center this is what I'm doing right now. Let's kind of go from here. Let's do something else. Let me show you something else. You ready for this? Taking it to the next level. Welcome, everybody. Everybody gets a total of 3 credits today for joining me at Adobe University, shall we call it. We're going to get deep. Such a weird word. Can you animate the light source in Photoshop? Well, I'll show you what you can do. Turning this on, look deeper, go to Window, down to Timeline, create Video Timeline. If you take a look right in here, you do have controls to animate some materials, okay? So this is a good start and a great suggestion, might I add. So I'm going to turn this on to turning on this light, right? So let's take this out. Let's put that keyframe out a little bit, about 1 second. All right, kind of like that, okay? Wait for it. Things might get a little slow since we are dealing with 3D. Let's kind of move that down here. I can snap that to the bottom. There we go. Move this over. All right. Now let's take a look at this light source. Here's the infinite light. Notice how it's connected, right? What happened to my light source? So the short of it is, to answer your question, yes, you can. You do have these keyframes in here. I'll move that over. Sorry, it's moving a little. It's getting a little funky. Let's just add another keyframe. There we go. Okay, so that's selected. Move our move tool. And then let's adjust this to the other side. When I do that, adds this second keyframe right down here. So first frame, second frame. Hit the space bar. Hiding everything else, we can see it move. So that should answer your question. Fantastic. Okay, so we can have that animation. As we can see, it's kind of, that light is kind of panning across that text. That works out fantastic. Let's move on to something else, because I actually want to get into so much more. I want to get into what we're doing right now is we're creating 3D content. I'm going to talk about some other features in here, which is, you know, how some additional features that you can do to text, quite frankly. So we're treating text kind of like a flat element here. Okay. So in fact, you can see right down here, we'll wait for it to render. Sorry if you couldn't see that because it was behind my head. All right, let's get rid of that timeline. I want to take this text right here. We'll do something similar, right? We'll create this 3D extrusion. Right, there it is. Let's kind of rotate that up. And by the way, it's good to see everyone. Sorry, I've been so busy lately. Seriously, so busy. All right. Same idea, right? We kind of have this text, but I wanted to take something else. I want to kind of knock this out, and you'll see all these various fun examples out here, right? We like this. We look deeper. I like the fact that this is kind of like they punched a hole in it. That looks pretty cool. That's something we might want to try. And then there's 1,000 other ideas. We've already done the long shadow thing, by the way. So this should really kind of jog your mind for doing something super cool. And I haven't even gotten into lighting and stuff yet. Okay, let's kind of go from there. Here we have this deep. Let's go ahead and change the color of it. When I have that object selected, just think of this layers panel as, or excuse me, your 3D panel as your new layers panel. As I go over here, again, for text, changing it to, oh yeah, deep. Let's go a little deeper. Oh yeah. Guess what? What if I don't like that light? Guess what? I can turn that off. I can say, you know what? Don't cast a shadow in this case, right? What if I don't like the perspective? What if I want to make it, you see right up here, orthographic, right? Which means don't give it any perspective, okay? I can do that like I'm doing like so, right? So we have this different sort of isometric view of this text, but there's more we can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and select the scene. You have these different options. Are you ready? This is Masterclass. Man, you guys are learning so much. I have all these different options for rendering the text. Most of these, just to be honest with you, maybe worth it, maybe won't. I'll point out the ones that you need to know. Unlit texture. This is one you need to be aware of, okay? Unlit texture. Boom. Knocks it out. This is actually what I would like. Like, this is cool. Like, I can do some really cool stuff with this unlit texture. So think about anytime you want to have a silhouette of text of a 3D object or item, use unlit texture. Absolutely love this. Okay. So that's one I would use. Going back over here. Again, it is for the scene with the scene selected. Let's go into some of this other stuff. I bet you, if you ever use sketch grass, don't talk to me. Okay. Don't talk to me. Cause you're never, when are you ever going to use this? I can't think of a day, right? I feel like that's something an engineer put in and they're like, wait. So anyways, normals looks good. Again, I'm going to just stick with default. This is what I wanted to show you. Let's rotate this around. I want to kind of knock this out. But if I go to scene, I have this ability to take a cross section. So I want to slice this text in half. Going to cross section. Okay. And look what happens. D. It actually gave me this cross section along the x-axis. Right? I'm going to split it along the y-axis, and I'm going to take the opacity down to nothing. Right? And now we can start to take a look at this. In fact, let's rotate it up. Oh yeah. Let's actually grab our, let's bring in our shadows. There we are. Thank you. Oh yeah. Right? We could start to see what's happening here. I have this cross section that I'm slicing along the y-axis, right? Now keep in mind, anytime I do this, I'm going to be able to hit edit source and change this text. I can say build. As soon as let's go with build, right? So we'll do like a building type theme, if you will. You can see it does the obvious, right? Taking this, I'm going to rotate the current view just so you can see what happens. I could actually take this depth. I can actually make it much deeper. Let's maybe move it up a little bit. Maybe that will benefit us. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But you can see what I'm doing right there. We have shallow depth, and then we can make it super deep, as you can see, as we start to adjust this that now says build. All right, cool. Let's move on. Yes, Photoshop can do anything. You would be correct. You would be correct in saying that. I'm going to move it to the ground. Boop. Let's take a look at this. Sorry about this. I won't get into any of those other deformations, but you have the ability to, of course, play with the extrusion, which is what I was doing, twist, taper, all sorts of fun things. By the way, I've already done a lot of that. I can also play with the bevel as well. So we can give it an interesting bevel, but I personally like what I have already here. So let's just rotate this. Zoop. There we go. Build. Why not? Option number 2. Again, we're just, it went through the ground. Yeah, I thought it went through the ground. I actually put it on the ground. But here, at this point, I'm actually going to make it X, Y. We want to change the Y. There we go. It's going through the ground right here. And there it's going up. But in general, you can see, in this case, I'm creating sort of like a building type texture. Bringing it back, what I can do is I can turn around, I can render it. You get the idea, okay? That is option number 2. And again, we can go beyond this all day long. In fact, let's rotate this. Yeah, no, it is fine. Let's move on from this because there's more we can do, and I want to show you how you can just not only just like take text, and I'm not even sure this is the right text. I think it needs to be bigger and bolder and all that fun stuff. And that's definitely what it needs, right? So I did not pick the right font, right? But the cool thing is I can go in, edit this source, as you'd expect. Let's go away from Adobe Clean. As we can see here, we still want a sans serif, and we actually want it to be like super fat, like Antoine. Oh, yes, this is what we need. Build into it. Saving that. There we are. You get the idea. All right, fantastic. Ricardo from Portugal. Alexander, good to see you. Nate, fantastic. Okay, so you get the idea. Let's move on from here. Make it bigger. Right, adjust it a little bit. Right. This is what you'll find yourself doing, is playing with this a lot. We've done two examples. Let's dive into this a little bit further, because we could do a lot also with basic shapes as we start to look at those. Here's my scene. If you ever want to add any elements, they are also right down here. So you can throw in a cube if you want to, and you think, oh, cube is super boring, right? Yeah, you'd be wrong, right? Because most things are basic shapes, right? Most things are. Grabbing this. Probably scaling it down. Right. And let's see where it is. Grabbing my camera view. So the current view. Current view, in fact, what I would do is I would typically save this. I'm saying, hey, you know what? I like this current view. Let's save it. This is the master view. And now we can kind of zoom out and try to find that cube, wherever the cube is. Where did the cube go? Oh, it is there. It's just really little. Let's move this out. All right. What I can also do is I could take any logo and extrude it and do all that fun stuff. Let's go beyond this, because I want to show you how you can grab other content that you might find on Adobe Stocks. You might be aware of this already, because obviously right up here, 3D, I get it, right? You could just go to 3D and you don't have to enter anything into the search field, and it will display all the 3D objects, right? So you can take a look at these, right? So this is where we go through the step of like importing content. Right, I can see it right here. This is going to be an OBJ. I would then go ahead and, sync it, and then it's going to be available to me, right? Okay, save it to library, download it, whatever I want to do. It's also going to be an OBJ. By the way, jumping over here, this is a Masterclass. I don't think I need to talk about all this stuff, but like Turbo Squid is another place I go for 3D models. You're looking for OBJ files, by the way. Okay, so right in here, I can say statue. That's what I was searching for. In here, for Turbo Squid, just change price. This is what I do. Change it to free. There we go. Now we have all of our free various models that we can download and go from there. All right. OBJ, done. Typically, I will also check the OBJ box search field, bringing in the head of Augustus, and there we have it. It's like you treat it just like any other image, right? Life doesn't have to be hard, does it? Let's rotate this around. We can see this is the head. This is where we start to play with this, just like I was doing before. Rotate it up 90 degrees. Grabbing it, rotating it around, you get the idea, okay? But here already we have something that we could use in good old Photoshop. Somebody's saying, wait a minute, how did you do that? Hold on 1 second, mister. Yeah, right? I want a profile image. I already showed you this, but check it out. This is my object right over here. This is Augustus. Like, hey, buddy, We'll go over here to the scene. We'll say, hey, you know what? Make it an unlit texture, right? And now we have that particular unlit texture. Oops, wait for it. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Just put a gradient on his head. I don't even know how that worked. How did that even work? It's being applied. Yeah, exactly. I was going for, I wasn't really going for pop art. I kind of was. I was going for something modern. I'm actually painting on that layer. That is absolutely crazy, by the way. Let's just go to black. Maybe white. Maybe a color. But what I'm doing is for this object, you ready? When I rotate it, I was actually painting on that object. So this is the other side of that object, right? Which is pretty darn impressive. So if we take a look right in here, we were making this texture for it. So I can go into edit texture, right? Here it is. Here's all the parts that make up that model that I downloaded, right? So I could take this just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's go in here. Let's add this gradient. Why not? Fun gradient. You ready? What is playing now? Sorry about that. Whew. Check this out. Look, it's being mapped according to this mesh right here. Okay. Typically what I would do is, put something with more meaning in there. But at this point, it can be white. This is my unlit texture because you know what? Rather than trying to find a specific model that is set at that certain rotation, look, there I have the nice profile if I want to, or whatever the case may be. In fact, let's go back to default. All right, I bring this up. Okay. Yeah, what statue did I download? Augustus looks like Mark Zuckerberg, apparently. Right, so this is something I can work with as well, okay? We understand how this works, right? I have the ability to map images and different things onto this object, okay? But I bring this up to kind of, to bring up my next point, which is going to be, let's turn that off. Oh yeah, so this is looking much better. Dimension, right? Because what we don't have in here is we don't really have like materials per se, right? We just have the ability to map an image right on this object. And quite frankly, I want more flexibility. I want to work with lighting, different things like that, okay? But yeah, I just kind of want to play with this right now a little bit. Turning this back to unlit texture. There's my profile. Hopefully you're seeing these objects as design elements because I'm referring back to all of this stuff, right? So again, design elements is what these are, right? You could try to fake this somehow, or you can actually use Photoshop and 3D. But what we're kind of getting into now is this sort of case, right? Where, first of all, making this flat would take me forever. I can map a gradient onto a 3D object, or what I could do is I could give it those properties, those material properties of glass. Okay, so that's what I'd want to do, Nuno. Does that sound good to you, Nuno? Oh yeah, I'm drinking so much coffee today. We're going to get done in no time. But this is really cool stuff. What about this? Same idea. So cool, right? Let's switch. Rather than mapping content onto this object, we're going to use Dimension. And that's what I have right over here. Oh, look at that. In fact, I already have a model loaded in here, right? So check this out. Here's my model. Gosh, I'm sorry I didn't... I don't want to load and save and blah, blah, blah. Let's just kind of do this. Let's bring something in. We have starter assets, and this is what you're going to be given initially, right? You will see something kind of like this. You'll see these objects right over here, right? Grab any one of those objects, bring it in like so, just like that, dropping that. Oh, no. I do not want a cube box. I want an actual cube. Let's go with this actual cube. Let's drop it right in here. As I drop it in here, let's take a look at what we could do. We could, of course, move it around. We can scale it. And these are my tools. Again, this is a master class, but I'm jumping into Dimension because I'm showing you sort of like the breaking point when you like need to sort of jump into another app. Because what is Photoshop for a lot of people? It's going to be your gateway drug into other apps, just like what we're having here, right? We have this new object right here. And these tools, these are going to manipulate the object. The second group down here is going to manipulate the scene, right? So I can go in and select this, you know, let's make it smaller, just like that. And we can make, you know, sort of like a new platform potentially for our lovely nymph. I hope we are all grown up, so I'm hoping it's okay that I show this, right? Okay, this art element. But this is what we have. We have this kind of coming out right there. We can have some fun with this all day long. We have these objects already pre-baked in, right? If we want to add a splash for some reason, we can drop that in. You get the idea. Look at how fast and performant it is, by the way, right? I love this. Since it's 1.0, we can do a lot with good old Dimension. From here, next up, we have something that Photoshop doesn't really have out of the box. All these amazing materials, right? Oh, Chad's got a roll. Have a great weekend, Chad. Really appreciate you. Appreciate everyone hanging out with me. If I reskin the 3D object, can it be exported as a new OBJ? Boom! Michelle, thank you so much for asking that. Love where your head's at. Can't wait to show you that because I wanted to earlier. Because what did I have down here? Like, we get how to do this. We did this. Boom. Okay, we get it. We have this like max twisty thing that I made, right? Here's a max twisty thing, right? This max twisty thing has on each sides different materials, by the way. I mapped this on top of it, which is kind of cool. Okay. Let's go back. Let's look at the extrusion material because that's going to be the sides of this. Extrusion material going over here. Oh, there it is. It looks like little buildings. Let's edit that texture. And sure enough, we should see in here, these are our buildings. I can switch that up. This gives me sort of the mesh mapping. It's the UV overlay. I'm going to just change this to a different color just so you can see what it looks like, right? And now you can see all those fun gradients right in there. Notice how it still has that bump map, because if you take a look right over here for the extrusion material, oh, there's something else in the bump map, right? So you do really have a lot of control. I'll just remove that texture altogether. Get rid of that. Go back into this texture. Let's just change this to normal, saving this, closing it. I'm doing all this for Michelle, who asked. Thank you, Michelle. So this might be something that I might be interested in using, right? Yeah, we got some smooth wrap going on. But check it out. Like, I might want to use this actually in Dimension. So thank you so much for reminding me. Because with this layer selected, I can go up to 3D and I can go to Export 3D Layer. Exporting that 3D layer, you guessed it. It's going to be an OBJ right down at the bottom. Boom. Selecting OK. Desktop. This is MAX. OBJ, saving it. So it's going to save those textures as well. Okay. Just like I could do here, by the way. That's something else I was working on. But at this point, I have this Dimension file that I'm just going to save really fast. But now I can import that 3D model, Okay, importing that 3D model, regardless of where you got it, you can see there's that max OBJ, hitting open, we'll bring it in and we'll start working with it. Yes, textures export to Dimension as well. Oh, actually, no, I should double check that. They should. I know it has the capabilities because OBJs do. Okay, so notice how it's off to the side, and this will happen a lot when you bring in 3D objects. You're like, where the heck is it? Because it was made at different sizes and blah, blah, blah. Right up here, that's this little button, zoom to fit selection, right? In fact, what I can do is I can select everything, zoom to fit selection. Oh, there it is. It wasn't teeny tiny, it's massive, right? Let's move it to the ground, boom. Just like I showed earlier, we have these tools to scale, scaling it down, moving it over, zoop, zoop. Like that. Again, let's zoom to the object. Ah, that thing was huge. What were you thinking? Scaling it down like that, you could see. Yeah, and to answer your question, you can see that it's obviously bringing in those textures. Some models won't have textures, right? You get it. Right, and now we have that max fun thing that I can start working with. In fact, I might start working with that instead of the model. I wanted to show the model because the model was also brought in from, I think I used Turbo Squid. Let's get rid of that. Let's kind of make something fun. I like this max element so far, but let's make this more interesting. Right there. We'll do a fun splash. We'll zoom in on this content. Zoop, just like that. You'll start to use these shortcut keys as well. So right over here, 1, 2, 3, which is very similar to other 3D apps. It's been a while since I've used C4D, you know, but here it is. This is pretty cool. We have a splash. We have some other stuff. I have this texture. I may or may not like this texture, but if we take a look right in here, oh, there it is. There's that max object. And here, look, here's the extrusion material, that gradient. Are you not impressed? Look at that. Come on now. Can we make the water splash look like a real water? Yes, but that would be too obvious. Yeah, we will do that right now, actually, because I wanted to talk about bringing in materials. So off to the side, we can see glass glowing, blah, blah, blah. There's probably water in here. Even if there's not water, oh, there we go. There's water. I knew water was going to look a lot like glass. Dropping that on the object you want to be glass, and it's going to do that. Let's take this bottom piece. What shall we do with it? Let's go with water as well. Sure, why not? Let's take a look at some of the lighting. So much I want to do. Front inflation material. Bevel material. So many things. Let's do some smooth silk. Dropping it on the bevel material. Boom. Smooth silk. Let's just do some plastic for the front inflation material. Let's do something like that. So we're getting this set up just right, but doesn't this make a lot of sense, by the way? I hope you think it does. Here's some images on these buildings. I like the buildings. They're okay. Let's replace that with just plastic. Oops, I missed it. Sorry. Building. There's my plastic. You get the idea. Okay? Big thing is that I'm just having fun with this. All right, you ready for this? We're going to do some, it's just another. Oh, Anthony, you're excited. That's what I want to hear. So we've done a lot of work, but this doesn't have the life that those colors like. I want to make Max look exciting, right? And we have some of these elements, right? We could actually open this render queue up. We can see what this rendering looks like. Let's actually take a look as I drink my coffee. That's okay, right? It's the start of something good, though. Let's go back in here. What do? We're going to go into the lights, right? Right in here with these lights. Ooh, I like these colorful ones. Let's do a studio colorful stage. We'll add that to our scene. And you can see what it's doing right here. In fact, I'm going to take this material. I'm going to go with glass. I'm going to drop that on there. For the environment, this is the background. That's the environment light. It looks pretty good. Wait for it. Clean gold. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Silver gloss. You ready for this? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it to reflect not only the lights, and I think this will be better. This water will be better served as like sort of a metal, as you can see right here. So yeah, so you get the idea. Even for that background. Wait for it. There we go. Wait for it. Yeah, thank you, Raimondas. You're exactly right. Try something, try some metal, try something reflective with that background. That's we're on the same page. Yeah, so Michelle, like a lot of times the color comes from light. And just to make your brain hurt, it's fascinating to know that this phone case isn't really red. It's just reflecting the red wave, if you will, UV wave, back to my eye. So all color comes from light. So that's the idea. So this is already looking, you ready for this, Felipe? I'm going to blow you away. And before I do that, this is a Photoshop Masterclass, so I want to stay true to the title, just so you know. I could do a lot of this I could do a fair amount of this in Dimension, by the way. So I have this, let's take this current view, move this over, kind of zoom in. I have the ability to add more lights. Here's one light. I can add additional lights as well, like a spotlight. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Boop, there it is. Here's my spotlight, so that's just going to radiate. Let's move this over. Shoop. From this side, you get the idea. So I just kind of want to stay true to the title and just kind of show you what you can do in Photoshop. But when it comes to all these materials and all these just like lighting kits and everything, Dimension starts to win, right? Like this was much easier to make, to be honest with you. Going beyond this, like somebody mentioned, who said that it doesn't really change the color. Let me see. Can you make your own model in Dimension? Lee, that is a very astute question. Thank you so much for asking. The answer is no. It just like Photoshop doesn't take photos, Dimension doesn't make models. Okay, so you're going to make those other places, and then you're going to either import them or you're already going to have them. You can see off to the side, right? And what you can do is you can also, get them on Adobe Stock. As I switch over to my libraries, right, here's all my libraries for nature. And then I have some 3D elements. Like this is view by group, view by type. Let's do that. There we go. Bingo. These are graphics that I have actually gotten from Adobe Stock. So let's shrink that back down, grab one of these. This is some sort of glass element that I'm going to bring in to jazz it up. Boom, explosion, right? What do we want to do with this? Go back to our assets, materials. and get some fun reflective material in here. Ooh, look at this. Veined marble. Let's drop that on there. I don't think it's going to be very cool. I think it's all right. You get the idea. Okay. Cool. What do we want to do if we want to drastically change the look? Let's go with this other studio lighting kit. And you can see, of course, it changes it in a whole new way as well. Awesome. Yeah, Ken, we could use a masterclass on everything, right? You guessed it. Zoop. Just going to play around with this a little bit, moving this into place. Notice how the controls are the same, right? Controls are pretty much the same. Whether it's zoop, Photoshop, or Dimension, right? Because you have those on-object controls like you saw a second ago. Cool. All right. We'll see this change one more time. The great thing is all I need to do is just like drop on an asset, drop on materials. It's going to change the whole thing as expected. These lighting kits really change it a lot. From here, I can grab my own background as well, something I made in Photoshop. I can apply that as a material as well. It's all pretty straightforward. I'm going to go for about 10 more minutes. I'll keep the questions coming. I really appreciate you, Diego, and everyone hanging out with me. So yes, you're right. So Noor, you're going down the right direction because we want this to look like big, like Max it's a huge event. So we want to make it cinematic and huge, right? So that's what I'm doing here. In fact, let's just shrink this back down. I'm going to control the light. Notice how I'm rotating the light. It's like I kind of like that. Do I like the Topanga forest? Maybe. Let's try Studio Warm. Key lights. Ooh, this looks very nice as well. Let's change that background. Background desperately needs help. That's maybe working. Let's go to my assets. Oh yeah, lights. Boom. Oh yeah. Right, now here's the thing. You ready for this? I need to make sure that background's also reflected. So I want to take a look at the environment light over here because this currently is the like those studio lights, but I really like this abstract environment light. I'll drop that on. It's not only the background, but it's going to be reflected in these different elements, and we can see it change accordingly. Usually when I do that, yeah, it might get darker. I might brighten up the intensity or adjust the lighting, right? I can even add sunlight, right? With that, we'll see this kind of pop into place. And you ready for this? Are you ready? This is going to make all the difference in the world, okay? Ricardo and Alexander and Guick, good to see you. You ready for this? This is my favorite part. I still need to kind of work on the lighting. I'm going to be very aware of the shadows. Right? Look, this is my rotation of my light. Okay, I can see all these shadows being cast on that object. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go down here. This is my favorite feature. I'll select camera right over here. You ready for this, Diego? Turning on the focus. We're going to give it a shallow depth of field. It actually gives me a little hint. It says, hey, you know what? Set focus. Click on that. Click on the object. And then render it out. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Look, it's already kind of fuzzy. But again, like that note says, set focus point. Clicking on that object right there. And then we'll go ahead and watch this render out really fast. Come on now. Come on, people. I like this. And also, just to kind of remind you of the schedule, I'm here every week, just so you know. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Of course, check out Photoshop. And just kind of be mindful of the schedule that I'm taking a look at now. So, yeah. 12:30, we have Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. That's what's going on. So, just a little reminder there. And, yeah. Andrea Hawk. Big thank you to her. She's like fantastic. This is what we get. This is so impressive. This is so impressive. This is that cool effect that I'm looking for. I'd probably play with the colors a little bit more. But the great thing is I can come over here. I can say, hey, you know what? Let's render this out. A low quality version, and render it out to my desktop. But also we have right here, look at this. Oh, cloud. We could render it on somebody else's laptop and grind that to a halt while we continue to work on whatever we want. Okay. Yes, Ken Cowley. Yes, rendering is like watching paint dry, but it's kind of fun paint. But that's essentially what's happening, is it's like painting this scene. So good analogy, which isn't even an analogy. It's like exactly what's happening. Okay, so good call. While that renders out, you're going to see that PSD. Don't forget about Cloud Beta. I'll switch back over to Photoshop, go into 3D, and I wanted to point this out as well. Get more content right here. So you can always jump in here, select to get more content. It's going to take you to this page where you have other 3D content that you can kind of grab. What I was talking about earlier was Turbo Squid. You could see it right there. Okay, what's not listed here? Ooh, there's some materials. There we go. We have some materials that we can load in some stages and sets. That's good. Image-based lights. Okay. So that's what we have there. Just go to get more content. That's where you can access this content. And yeah, Ken, by the way, you're exactly right. Yeah, because I used to do more 3D, and it just killed my social life. Because waiting for everything to render just took too much time, right? But even, I will want to point out that, like, yes, even for this PSD file, this does need to be rendered. But the thing is, this already looks pretty good, and I have a very good representation of what I'm going for, of what I'm going to get just by working in this mode, as you can see. So pretty awesome. I'm going to remove some of these. Right, just like that. And I can bring in, some more 3D content, as you can see here. Fantastic. Let me click over to YouTube. Hello from Indonesia, Raxon. Yeah, and for those of you who missed the start, I was talking about creating 3D content. We not only created in 3D, so we created in Photoshop, and I can show you some other assets. Like here's a Wonder Woman logo, right? I was just playing with materials and stuff like that. And again, just to show you that this is a 3D object, and to just show you other options. You can see it right here. Yep, that's right. Wonder Woman, 3D. You get the idea, right? Let's take a look at this other one. Another Adobe Max experience, as you can see right here. Again, 3D. You can see the text right here. And again, we are winding down. Wait for it, wait for it. Let's do this. Ready? Boom, boom. It's nice that these are under the hood, just a simple layer. Saving that, closing that. We'll see it update. There we go. Wait for it. What do we have right here? We have another 3D object. That's right. Switching over. Wait for it. Wait for it. Going to our fun fonts. This is moving a little slow because I happen to have a rendering happening in the background. And I'm working in Photoshop. There we go. Let's go with this one. Boom. Save. Close. Down to my last minute. There you go. There you have your thank you. There you have that rendering as well. Let's see if it's on my desktop. Wait for it. Ah, there it is. Look at that. Just in time, the rendering, the big thank you, and as you can imagine, that does it for me. Look right over here. We have all the layers that we would expect. Everything looks fantastic. There we go. Cool. All right, Jan Eric. I don't get your joke, but either way, I do want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. I appreciate you, and it'd be awesome if I did see you, you know, at Max or someplace soon. But dive in, explore everything Photoshop has to offer. It's super intense. It does a lot, as you can see. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and we'll catch you next week. And I might post this online later, so follow me on Instagram, PTRANI, and stay tuned for Andrea. She's coming up after me, not right after. There's a little bit of time for you to dive into Photoshop and have some fun. So thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate ya. I'm going to let you go right now. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.